Oh, you made it.
Yeah, just in time.
I didn't think Ben was gonna make it.
I've been here the whole time. What are you talking about? It's ridiculous. I never left. I live here. This is my home.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So obligatory. How's everyone feeling tonight?
Good.
Good. Good.
I have tea,
We love tea.
and that's a win.
I have
That is a
some-
win.
It's really
I've
all you need.
yeah. I have some branched chain amino acids.
Ooh.
Oh, okay. Maybe you need that too.
Aminos.
Amino.
Since I was not in this episode, I am going to go against every instinct in my body and try to let you guys lead the discussion.
We're actually gonna kick Katie out of the call now.
Katie,
Thanks for joining.
And
I
And now he's good. No, I'm just kidding. I'm moving back.
but now her position has rotated
Oh no.
in this
There we
Game
go.
of Thrones.
Uh-oh. Well, that's not what I meant to do.
It's fine. But no, I want to let you guys who were present in the episode be able to sort of talk about it without too much outside input. So I will try to just pepper in color commentary where needed.
Let's talk first and foremost. Let's like review sort of like the main things that happened. I did this last time with just like three things. Like you guys had dinner, then you had breakfast, then you went to the carnival, and that was it. So you guys had kind of brunch, got in a car thing, and then went to a carnival.
yeah.
Damn.
We
Well,
had
they searched
so
for a
many
cow
adventures.
for a while.
Whoa. So
Whoa.
many adventures were had.
Many mysteries were solved.
Many mysteries.
I do love that like everyone's like, yeah, that mystery, and they just like totally just like want Corey to like solve mysteries because they're just like, he's adorable. How could we not want to support a little kobold nubbin to his dream of being the super sleuth.
It's like if the Hardy Boys are actually cute and cuddly kobolds.
Just a single
Those are-
boy. One hardy boy.
One,
the Hardy boy.
one Hardy Boy.
Just a hardy fella. It's interesting the dynamic. I will say from my side of things, and then I'm curious to chat with you two and get your thoughts on this. Our first session, as I drain my tea, our first session was like all set in the city. There was a lot of like sort of stuff happening, and then we had this drastic shift from city stuff to like our three country bumpkins who are all like, I like to spend my mornings outdoors, and I was like, oh, okay, this is a very strong departure, just kind of cool. I really like that we have such different vibes from our two like little chunks of the group. It's just delightful to like see the way that like the relationships are developing and like how protective of Corey it feels like both Bill and Alistar are. Just lovely stuff. But I'm curious like how you guys felt and like how you guys are feeling as you like get into your characters, get to know them a little bit.
I want to hear specifically what this was like for Alex, because I know that Alex, you have not played a ton of D&D recently. Like I know that Zeki is like on stream all the time, always.
Wait, Zeki plays D&D?
Always doing the D&D.
Oh,
You want to come on our channel? We
who knew?
play TTRPGs. You should come by sometime and like come play with us.
That's so great. I've been exploring new different systems. So
Oh,
this
really?
would be a great opportunity for me.
Hell yeah! What's
Just
this
mute myself.
yeah.
See, it's not mean if Katie kicks herself off the stream.
True.
Yeah,
Not
exactly.
bullying if she
Self-
does it to herself.
Fine, Katie. Yeah. I guess I definitely have the least experience of
back.
everybody, like as far as tabletop RPGs go, right? I mean, you guys have been doing this forever, and like all the time, right?
Fair bit. Yeah.
Not for forever. For several years.
Yeah, for a while now.
For
Um,
years and years.
Yeah, I'm having a great time. I feel like I'm taking a little bit longer to figure out who Bill is, to like settle into a role and a dynamic.
Mhm.
So I've been thinking a lot about how to sort of commit more strongly. I was thinking maybe I could bring in some sort of like lean into the country bumpkinness a little bit. Like maybe he's a little bit more of an accent, ever so slightly.
I like it.
We'll see how he develops going
Yeah.
forward.
And I mean, for what it's worth, like even the next episode really is still pre-actual campaign, right? You've got sort of like you guys beginning to gel as your smaller group, and then the group beginning to gel as a larger group.
Yeah.
That I really wanted you guys to explore and like have that dynamic. And in retrospect, we should have been clearer about like what sort of like was all happening like with folks as we kind of like went into these sessions, because I think it wasn't necessarily the most clear that these are like, this is pre-campaign, like this is like pre-session 0 really in a lot of ways. And people are like figuring out their characters, figuring out their character voices. I on Tuesday felt like for the life of me I could not get my like subtle Italian mobster accent down. It felt like it was eluding me the whole evening.
Really? I felt like you nailed it. I felt like there was solid commitment there.
I thought it sounded fine from an audience's perspective.
I was just like, at one point I like literally took my right headphone off so I could like hear myself properly without being muffled, because I was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
You? Oh my god, I was trying out voices left and right trying to figure out Corey.
I think the thing that really struck me about like these like session 0.5s and like the whole concept behind them is, it's kind of hard to, you can have an RP episode or you can have like an episode that really furthers the plot in some way. But when you don't know those character bonds already and you're doing an episode that doesn't necessarily also further the plot, because again, that's not what these first 3 sessions are for. These first 3 sessions are for us to sort of, figure out who our characters are, what our relationships are like with each other, meet some important NPCs. I'm assuming that Giovanni is not just going to show up for the sessions 1 through 3 and then just kind of bounce, but it's a difficult dynamic, which, I mean, in hindsight, yeah, we should have fucking known that, like, when you're not prepared to RP with each other, and also there's not going to be a lot of additional stuff thrown in, it can be challenging. And I feel like I felt that a lot with our session, where it's like, okay, I don't want to be boring, right? Like, I want to make this entertaining to watch, despite the fact that this is really for us to sort of figure out what the fuck is happening. And I don't know if you guys felt that way too, but
without like a driving force of like, we know our mission, we're doing our thing. So yeah, I'm curious like how you guys felt about that.
Yeah, Zach, what do you think?
I mean, do you mean just like in terms of like, all right, this is like the offer we can't refuse, and
I think even like kind of like even sort of like the chunk of the session leading up to that point, where it's just kind of like you guys like futzing around in like a little country town where like frankly there's not a lot going on, like there's like it's a small town of like 280 people and they all know each other, and the mysteries are like, where are my glasses, where's Bessie, she's over in the field, like as opposed to being in like one of the biggest cities of a country where like there's like they could have literally taken a left turn out the front door and gone and found some shit to do, and there would have like I would have had to make something.
It would have been a different campaign.
Totally. Yeah. They all would have died immediately.
Whoa!
Wait, did I say that out loud? Oh my goodness.
We can't. No, we can't just be doing that. But I mean, I really liked the way that we had kind of found our vibe, because it felt really, really organic, because it was kind of like, all right, now we're going to start in like the town square, and then we're panning around, and it's coming together, and now all of a sudden now we have Bill joining us, kind of like completing this trio. And I was kind of like, I mean, I know why I suspended belief, but like our characters just didn't question the fact that people know where we are and they're sending us mail. You know, I feel like there's like this little bit of it where even though we're like totally happy in our tiny little place, we're also like making it a point to like go out and about and like, you know, venture at like arm's length away.
Yeah.
So we're feeling safe, but you know, we're still feeling like there should be something more that we're doing. And I think like no one questions the letter. We're just like, yeah, please, let's get something like real to do.
Yeah.
Which was a question that I was prepared for you guys to ask, to be like, how the fuck did you know where to find us? Like, this is ridiculous. We're in the middle of nowhere. This place has 280 people. How did you find us?
Especially for some players more than others. Potentially.
Yeah, I could see a couple of folks being a little bit more like, I don't like this.
How do they know I'm here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, you know what, I unless you guys think that is a thing that you are going to ask in the future, which is entirely reasonable of you to ask in the future. You're like, oh, by the way, but like above the table, sort of like bird's eye view down at the table, Geo has made it very clear in a number of conversations that like he keeps tabs on the people that he finds interesting.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you guys are in this little tiny town, but like he's a well-connected guy.
Yeah. I mean, my question was less how did you find us and more why have you gathered us random 3 country bumpkins here at this little town?
Oh, you know, we've got a super sleuth. We got super sleuth sort of like surrogate parent. And we've got this guy who's dealing with, you know, it's sort of an existential and familial crisis and
Existential angst.
yeah.
And if those aren't the 3 people that you want for a job, I don't know who you want.
Well,
Exactly.
I think you know part of it is, and this kind of goes back to the session with the ladies, which is like part of it is like, hey, I have this thing, and I actually think that like your skill sets align really well, and part of it is like, hey, I see 6 individuals who stand to benefit from being around these other people. Like you as people will grow from being with them. And so part of it is him being like, yeah, I have my like professional interest in, you know, whether it's, you know, sort of like creating this network of you know, intelligent or you know, empathetic individuals who have you know, a mindset or an outlook on life that is similar to mine, or is at least in some alignment that like we can work together. And part of it is like on like a personal level, I think he just like when he sees people who would be better off knowing other people, it's like, I'm just gonna like mush you guys together because you're welcome in the future. So like part of it is you know, you might need these people whether or not you know it currently.
Right. It's like matchmaking. You're like, okay, now kiss, except it's like, okay, now adventure.
Yeah, no, like go forth, like
Right.
grow strong together, my children. And I think, you know, like he's an old dude. He's got, you know, he's got a few laps around the old block, as it were, and like I think he's got a good eye for that kind of thing, and this is like kind of what he does.
Yeah. And I think with the exception of Patchwork, we're all fairly youthful. How old is Alistar? What's he been up to?
Alistar is I think maybe the second oldest.
Who's the oldest?
Check. Patchwork.
Patchwork.
Patchwork for
Patchwork
sure.
is ancient.
Patchwork is eternal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was
Patchwork defies time.
I know this is last week's talk back, but there was that moment in the ladies one where Giovanni was like, how old is Patchwork? How old are you? Why are you treating Patchwork like they are your child when they are objectively hundreds of years older than you?
Yeah.
Just like, shut up, don't think about it too much.
We all go at different rates, you know?
Yeah.
Listen,
Exactly.
maturity is a spectrum, and age is just a number.
Yeah.
No, that
Context.
sounds really
Context.
bad.
That
sounds
is
like,
problematic, Katie.
Clip it.
I just that's not. Don't do weird.
I'm
don't
actually
be weird.
only
Don't be
18 and she's
weird.
robbing the cradle.
No, don't be weird.
I am a mature
He is a baby.
18.
Macho baby.
That mustache was just glued on.
The stubble is
I've
just tiny little marker dots.
I've made the decision that I'm going to just periodically bring it back, and then it'll go away again, and there will be no rhyme or reason to it. It's gonna be a bit that I do because why
It's
not?
like, is it a mustache week or is it not?
Who knows? Is it a half mustache or a full mustache? I might just do one side on, one side off.
Oh, like that one kid.
Oh.
That was always at Dascom.
Oh, he joined the rugby team for a bit.
See that?
Tough as nails.
I'm gonna
Anyways.
refocus us because that is my job.
Yep.
Ben, was there anything that you prepped or placed or okay? Well, I was gonna say, is there anything that like they didn't explore that they could have explored that you want to share with them?
Was there anything that I had prepped?
Yeah, what secret boxes did we miss?
Yeah.
In the town, honestly, nothing. If you guys had decided to like go take a walk, there was a chance. Honestly, there was a chance you guys might have engaged in some of the first combat of the season.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Find some giant spiders that are leveled down appropriately, that kind of thing. But I think like really the point for me was to like give you guys time in a setting, in like truly like a sandbox setting of just like, hey, wander around town, interact with some folks, some like super Midwestern orcs, and just like get a feel for your characters, right? Like, that's really my goal, was to be like, here's a place, let's hit our stride, right? Like, let's get you guys the time sort of like in the headspace of your character to figure out like, how do I talk? How do I respond to this person? How do I respond to that person? How do I think about like, the other characters' relationships to one another? Like, do I like that? Do I dislike that? Like, kind of figure out like what's our vibe, right? In the same way that my hope for tomorrow is to give you guys the opportunity now as a full group to do that exact same thing. Like, what is our vibe? Like, how do we interact with one another? Who sort of like feels immediately like drawn and connected to, this character or that character. So, my plan is to just kind of give you guys a little time to like futz around and get to know one another and get to know yourselves, because I feel like that's, it's important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I sort of like came into this and I was like, okay, stuff's going to happen to me and I'm going to have to react to what's happening. So let's be ready. And then I sort of had to shift gears to be like, oh, I'm just exploring this world as Bill. So I better figure out what I'm doing and why I'm doing it like right now. Which was, good pressure. It made me, I feel like, nail down a lot of things really quickly.
Which, I mean, part of that is the nature of D&D, where like you've got the best idea. You're like, I know my character. I've got it all lined up, ready to roll. And then you get into it and you're like, okay, so 70% of that was wrong. Cool. Which is the beauty, I think, of like actually getting that time in and like feeling each other out. You're like, okay, I get it. I get to see how this works. I get to feel how it works. Is there anything
How the
that
group
you guys...
dynamic is.
Yeah. Is there anything that you guys were hoping to experience, or something that like maybe didn't? Or is there maybe something that like a conversation piece, or like someone that you like saw or talked to briefly who are like, I'd kind of like to follow up and learn more about that person for whatever reason?
I definitely thought that you were going to bring out traumas way like from the get-go.
Which is honestly unfair because we got so emotionally fucked with in our first session, and you guys just got like a nice little walk looking for some cows.
We were like hanging
Get in the
out in
limo.
the Animal Crossing.
You know, the way that I look at that is like,
Fucked up.
you know, I don't want you guys to get comfortable and like figure out a formula. You know, like, oh, I know that like he's gonna mess with us this week, but not next week because he's gonna try to kill us instead. I thought about it. But I felt kind of two pieces. One is that like, as someone who has ADHD, when it like became apparent that Rev has ADHD, I was like, oh, okay, I like absolutely know, like I know this so deeply. Like it's a very easy thing for me. Or, you know, like stuff around parents and whatnot, like everyone's got their parent stuff. Or, you know, feeling, you know, sort of like lost in who you are and your time and space, and life. Like we all have those moments. So like those are things that I can really like easily understand, and like jump right into. And then I got to you guys and I was like, you know what? I want to, like, A, I want to give you guys a little more time to gel, and B, the big thing for me was, especially with Alistar, that, like, you know, dealing with a character that is autistic, I want to make sure that when we dig into that one in particular, that I have, like, prepped myself to properly deal with it, because, you know, it feels like one of those things where, like, if handled poorly, it could be absolutely freaking terrible. And I you know, I don't want to do that, right? Like I want it to be like a really well handled thing. And then I was like, well, okay, if I'm not gonna delve into one, then I shouldn't delve into the other two, because then that feels unfair to be like, hey, I'm gonna pick on you guys and you're gonna get a pass tonight. So it kind of like it went from there, and that's like between that and just wanting you guys to never know when I'm gonna pull out your trauma and be like, hey, let's talk about that. I decided to just kind of like let you guys just gel and vibe for the evening.
It's gonna be quite a trauma bomb
Yeah.
when you do start with like the three of us.
Oh yeah, and I have set characters up, NPCs up, who have connections to backstories. So like they're lying in wait, as it were. Although not really in wait, nor are they lying there in full sight. And you're probably gonna like them, but you know.
Oh my.
Oh
The
yeah.
mystery.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, also, I have a question for you, actually, Game Master.
Yeah.
So, with the transition between Pathfinder and Dungeons and Dragons that we are moving from and to,
Oh yeah.
and converting some of these things,
Mm-hmm.
there were certain backstory elements that we are going to need to talk about,
Oh yeah.
right?
Oh baby, are there ever? Yeah.
And I guess I have a question for you. Like, how is that, you know, changing any of your like character driven plans? You know what I mean? Like with everybody too, because there's like a lot of changes, I'm sure, across the board.
Yeah.
I only know about the ones I'm going to be like going through in this conversion, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of the reason that we were pretty clear about like this is going to take some time, because part of it is like part of it will be a sort of an ongoing conversation, because I think you know after your first session you begin to get to know the character a little bit better, and then over the course of your second session and third session you really like get into the meat of it and sort of like in a lot of ways hone those backstories. And they're, I don't know, I feel like when I go in and I have my backstory set and then I like interact, it's like, oh, you know what, there's like things that I think I'd like to change that would make more sense. Not like huge structural changes, but things where it's like there's bits and pieces that I would probably tweak that I think fit more to who the character is. And so I kind of want to have just like an open dialogue with you guys, you know, as you're playing them and as we begin to sort of port things over and kind of get to know what it is that we're doing a little bit better. So that like if there are changes that you want to make where it's like, well, I had said this one thing, but now that I think about it and now that I'm like playing the character, I think it might actually be this other thing, that you don't feel like you can't just make that change. So I'm gonna have like this couple of weeks where things are a little bit fluid. Give you guys, you know, like a fun little thing for the group to bond over that isn't necessarily driven by you know, anyone's
class or heritage
or heritage or backstory. You know, like I think that like the main storyline of this is going to draw really heavily upon all of your backgrounds, right? Like there's going to be characters that pop up and are, you know, big bads or big allies, as the case may be. And that's going to be what I think is going to be like our big driving force. And I want you guys to have like, you know, like one small adventure, low level adventure to just like just faff
feel
around.
that out.
Yeah,
no, I totally
how
get
it
that.
goes.
Yeah.
And I think it, like, I don't even think we really brought up classes like once for that session.
No.
Me somewhat intentionally, because I knew kind of like what was going on.
Mhm.
But like, you know, we also didn't have to. You know, like we were really just doing like a character study.
Yeah.
And like, if it seemed like it was kind of like a pilot, it's kind of because it was. This is the first time we really were like jumping into those characters, you know. So it's going to be a little bit extra, or it's going to be a little less roughed out, you know.
Yeah.
Alex, what was that like for you? Like, is that how you kind of felt about it, or was there something different where you've been like waiting to play this character?
No, I feel like I, you know, kept coming up with ideas and then saying, I don't know if I want to commit to this. So I had lots of like ideas floating around, but I figured, you know, when I show up and I see what the dynamic is, I feel like that will inform a lot of not only what I want to do, but then also how I fit in with what's going on and what would make the most sense for me to be there with this trio and then later, you know, sextet.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have to say, I liked the moment that you and Omar had, where he was like, "Hey, maybe don't just like bounce." You being like, "I didn't realize that was like a hurtful thing."
Yeah.
You know, like I'll be more communicative about it. I'm curious, Zeki, from your perspective, like how accurate of an assessment of your feelings do you think Omar had, or in the, you know, how accurate an assessment was Alistar's, you know, like view of how Corey was feeling about that?
Oh, I would say very spot on. I attribute like a large part of that to just, you know, some of the little behind the scenes conversations I've had with Omar about the relationship between the two. But I also know that like we trust each other a lot, playing, you know, tabletop games together for the past like, I don't know, like 5 years now or something like that.
Okay.
So like I feel like we also have like a trust together where I was like very much okay putting that like emotion out there for him to like then be able to pick up and build on in the scene. So
yeah.
That was great. It was great to like, because neither I nor Bill had considered that direction. And when Omar brought it up, I was like, oh, this is something now. This is exactly the kind of thing that I want to flesh out that's going to inform what I'm going to do going forward. So it was nice to sort of get brought into that relationship a little bit more, to feel like I had more of a fit inside it a little bit better.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
And I think those like little moments of not friction necessarily, but like those like points where you sort of like stress test the relationship are really good moments for you to like figure out your character, because it's like, okay, this is like, you know, there's not necessarily conflict, but there's, you know, there's meat to this conversation as opposed to, you know, sort of like futzing around a small town. It's like, okay, this is an actual interaction.
there are stakes here. Like it
Yeah.
matters what you're going to say and do.
Yeah, you know, it's
There,
just-
yeah, and beyond like the stakes and everything else, I also felt like the three of us were able to, you know, in getting into our characters, we were able to kind of establish like the scope of concern that each player is kind of like bringing to the table in like this immediacy, like in like the here and now, like as we're just getting started, like what is your reference point? And I feel like you know Bill's character has like a very specific reference point that's like twice as big as Corey's, and I feel like Alistar has a reference point of like his place in the universe and therefore what else is going on in the universe, like even double that, you know. So I feel like you kind of get this like Russian nesting doll of like concerns and like priorities and stuff like that, and it's kind of interesting to see how, you know, it comes full circle where it's like I see Alistar like doing like this good noble thing. I'm like, oh, I should do that too.
Yeah, same, exactly. I'm like, someone tell me how to be good. Like,
Right?
who's gonna like?
Yeah, good, especially like good in a foreign context. Because like, what is good in you know your? Yeah, I think this is also like a thing that you kind of go through as people in your adolescence. You're like, okay, I know like what being a good kid was, but like, how does one be a good member of society as an adult?
Yeah. And how do you find your own version of good versus whatever you were told to do?
Yeah.
By your upbringing. Yeah.
Yeah. And especially when you know are sort of negotiating all of those things as a character in like a very real way, in your own sort of. This sounds very general because I don't want to give too much away, but like this is a very character specific thing. Of like, you know, how do I figure out my place in the world? So, especially in light of like recent events, I'm curious if there are things that you guys are interested in checking out in the like near future. They're like, you know, like as these little country bumpkins, like how do you guys feel about being near a big city?
I feel like I'm interested to see some sort of like Bill becoming overwhelmed for the negative and sort of succumbing to some of the vices of the city that he's never experienced before. So that's something I've been thinking about. But otherwise, I mean, I'm coming at it like completely blind, no idea what's going on. So having that attitude of like being open to everything that's happening, I think it's going to be crucial.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. And Zeki, how about you with little Corey and his like relatively limited frame of reference as well? Like big city, lots of opportunities.
Honestly, I don't think Corey has any idea what is about to be experienced. Like, nah, like no clue. Because even if Corey did know and did even come from one of these cities, that has been so far shoved down deep into the memory hole that, you know, that's not like an actual memory for him.
We're sweet little babies. And then this old elven guy's like, "Hey, you want a drink, kids?" And you guys are like, "Yeah, sure." And Alistair's like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, Bill definitely liked that way too much.
It's good shit. There's a reason that he just straight up bought the cart. He was like, "I own this business now, but you know, here you go."
Yeah. Well, and then he magicked away our drunkenness, and I was like, "Well, fine. I guess it could be that way."
Yeah. Well, you know, some amount of responsibility, you know.
Responsible elf.
Corey was like, "I don't know exactly what I'm feeling, but now I feel normal again."
Good, bad, unsure. Yeah. Do your characters have like questions about that whole experience because of like who he is? Or are you guys kind of like, straight-laced dude, that was an interesting experience. Like, why are you trying to get us drunk? But also like, thanks for the experience and also sort of like setting us up to not go into the rest of the evening sloshed, basically.
Yeah. I think I'm just very trusting. It almost never occurs to Bill to question someone's motives unless they're being beyond shady.
Yeah, same with Corey, especially after like the experience that everyone got to witness of like who I'm interacting with like in the town, and that like how like over the top kind and like genuine they're all being. Like, I am the prime target in a big city for thievery. It's just like I have like a neon sign practically.
Not me.
I also think it's going to be interesting seeing the two groups come together, because the three of us know the city very well and are very versed in all of that sort of navigation of this type of world. And then we're gonna come up and meet up with you guys who are just gonna be like, "Oh, free candy! Yes, let's get in the van." And we're gonna have to like figure out how to deal with you guys.
Yeah, the three of you are very like no bullshit, like come on, and we're just like, look at all the lights, look at all the people.
And we're like, that is a fireball coming down on your head, not a light. But okay. You cannot move. That's fine.
Yeah, sounds exciting.
It'll be warm.
Oh, it'll definitely be warm. Yeah. Yeah. I also realized at the end of the session, I completely forgot to tell you all to level up.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
One of the things that was like sort of the point for those of you watching was that like I like to do milestone leveling, and I wanted them to be at least level 3 when we began the actual campaign. So I was like, we're gonna do each of your like little session zeros, and probably nothing will happen. So you're basically just gonna get XP for role playing, XP for RP, and then I realized that I totally just the thought was gone from my brain meats, and I didn't tell you all to do that. So.
At least we know for now. And also, I guess that means everybody going forward, we just have to solve 2 mysteries a session, and we will be leveled
Gotta
up.
find a cow, find some glasses, and then you get a level. It's crazy how that works.
Yeah.
We're going to solve 38 mysteries, and we will all then be level 20 adventurers. That's how it works.
That's how the game works. Can't fight it.
Yep. 38 very simple mysteries of mystery, your glasses are on your head, and then we're gods.
That's what we're doing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Honestly,
That's how
that'd be
it
a
goes.
hilarious joke campaign. We're like, you level up. What?
Jesus Christ.
Just don't tell you beforehand.
Ben, is there anything that you want to touch on or talk about from the DM's perspective? Like, I know we sort of like you've been able to ask questions, but how did it feel to DM them and kind of start getting to know these characters in this world? And then we should take a short break before we come back for our actual play campaign or
Labyrinthian
campaign
adventure.
2-shot, not a campaign.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's interesting. I feel like hilariously, I feel like I already knew the Vades, and I think part of that is, you know, like when you've got ADHD and you've got a character who just like truly like lives my life in a Dungeons and Dragons campaign, like I know this character, like it's me. That's me on, you know, the average Tuesday. But I actually felt like I really benefited from having the time to get to know your characters, because I felt like I didn't know them as well heading into this. So it's fun for me to like, I don't know, like interact with your characters a little bit, you know, like have you like chat with some like very friendly Midwestern folks, and then like a nosy neighbor type of character, and like see how you handled the interactions and chat with one another, and then like, you know, a much more business-like, but still very affable character who's like, hey, look, we're not going to really have all the same small talk because that's not really what I'm here for. The weird bowing is funny to me because I am a pixie and I do like mischief. But like, I'm here for a reason. This is the reason. Are you in or not? And see, like see how you guys reacted to different types of people. But it was fun to get to know you because I felt like I personally as the DM needed that time to like begin to feel out your characters.
Quick
I think
follow
we all did.
Yeah. Was there anything that surprised you that we did that you were like, I did not see that coming?
I think the thing that was the most surprising is how much it felt like you guys were siblings. With like, I think like Bill was the middle child, like very strong, like middle child.
For sure. Oh yeah.
Big middle child energy.
Yeah. I think
PMCE, as they say.
Yeah.
I think I had this expectation that it was going to be very much like this like paternal thing between Corey and Alistar, and then like more of a like adventuring buddy, like kind of like buddy cop vibe between Corey and Bill, and I actually was not sure what Bill and Alistar's relationship was going to be like and how they would interact. So that was just, I had no expectations because I was like, I had no idea. And then for the three of you to like really feel like siblings who were just kind of like it gave Hardy Boys vibes in a way that I in retrospect probably should have expected, but truly didn't. I was like, okay, interesting. I like this. I foresee Katie's character having a lot more children than she bargained on.
That's what I was thinking too. I was like, oh god, I'm gonna be the mother of this entire group.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yep. So
but I'm just a baby.
And not even close to being the oldest, but you know, like I think one of the most worldly members of the group.
Definitely.
Yeah. Corna is Encyclopedia Brown. Yes. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's what caught me by surprise because I thought I knew what the dynamic was going to be, and then I did not at all know what the dynamic was. So you guys caught me with that one. It was cool. I was like, all right, I like this little like my three little like found. It's there's some strong found family themes, and
we are the Boxcar Children.
You are the Boxcar
Children. I forgot that the Boxcar Children was a thing until you just said that.
They like just hit me. I'm like, oh, there were like 3 of them, right? And like,
yeah,
there it is.
Yeah.
It is exactly 7:45. If we want to take a 15-minute break before we come back, we should do so now.
Yes.
Alex, if you want to throw out your socials before we go, since you will not be back here with us in 15 minutes.
Fancy lab with your whole ass website and shit.
I know, right?
Oh yeah, right? Website. Well, that's where my stuff is. alex-emond.com. Feel free to check it out. Maybe I'll post on Twitter someday.
There we go. I put it into chat. All right, cool. Well, thanks so much. We'll be back here in 15 minutes, and hopefully we'll see you all then.
Have fun, y'all.
Yeah.
Bye.
Have fun.
Thanks for hanging out, everyone.